Welcome everybody, welcome back, and today I'm gonna do a little bit of different video for all you guys. And this was a request to do a video on how do I care for my razors, how do I clean them, I dry them, how do I store them. And it's the start of a new playlist. This playlist will automatically hit you with the next video, and the playlist will be on how-to videos. And I'm gonna have videos on how to hone, how to shave, how to everything. So straight razors. I'm gonna talk a little bit also about safety razors, how to care for those, and the blades coming from the safety razor. So if you're using a straight razor, while you're shaving, try not to get it super wet. How do you do that? You're gonna obviously get the blade portion wet. Try not to get the pivot point wet. See, that's where the corrosion first strikes. Why? Because you have two different metals touching. So you have either brass or whatever your pin is of a different material, different metal than your blade. All you need is different metals, moisture, and then this the recipe for a good corrosion, right? So first thing, as you're shaving, try not to get your hands super wet. So you lather, you make sure that you rinse out your hands, dry as best as possible the hand that you're gonna handle the razor. That way you don't get as much moisture in there. Same goes when you're honing them, right? So a typical shave for me is I finish shaving and I rinse off my face, I put the aftershave on, and then I usually dry my razor. So how do I dry my razor? I use a towel. Do not cut yourself. Cut myself many times, but I use a towel. So I finish shaving and I immediately dry it. I'm sorry, I kind of ruined the flow there, but I immediately dry it, right? So what I do is I take it as such, I put the towel there, and then I dry it. Make sure that the front is dry, make sure everything is as dry as possible, and then I put it away. I have a little shelf here on the left, I put it away as such, and I let it to air dry there, right? All that is happening while I'm doing the rest of the stuff I do in the morning. The aftershave, I do my hair or whatever I have to do, brush my teeth or whatever. Then, after, when I'm ready to put it away, I strop it. So I strop right after I shave. So stropping, what does it do? I don't strop the whole 9 yards. I do about 10-15 on the linen, and then I do 10-15 on the latigo side, on the leather side, and that ensures that the bevel and your edge is dry. It will ensure that it's dry and that is in good shape for your next shave, right? Then what do? Then after that, after I make sure that it's nice and dry, I oil it, right? You don't have to oil your razor always. This is going to depend on where you live and how many times you're going to shave with it. If you're going to do back to back, I wouldn't oil it super heavily because you're going to use it back to back, back to back, back to back. I do recommend you do not leave it in your shower area. Do not leave it in your shower area. It doesn't matter if it's made of stainless steel or carbon steel. Stainless steel will hold it a little bit better, but if you leave it in your shower area, you will ruin it. So do not leave it in your shower area. I oil it. What do I oil it with? Currently, I've been using camellia oil. Comes in a bottle similar to this. Is very popular in Japan. This oil, they use it for the hair, for a bunch of stuff. It is a seed oil. It's not harmful. It's gonna be good. Try it. You might like it. Two things with it. I encountered one person that had irritation with a razor that I sent him that had camellia oil, and he admitted that he did not take it off as good as he thought he could. So make sure, try it. If it irritates your face, please cease and do not use it. Another thing that I used in the past and a lot of people will recommend is Ballistol. Ballistol, if you're into guns, you know what Ballistol is. A lot of people use it for their guns, but this treats leather, for rubber, metal, wood. They use it for all kinds of stuff. It's eco-friendly, skin safe, and it does not cost. It doesn't have any carcinogens, right? If you can tolerate the smell, you can use this. Pros and cons from these two. This is a reason it is a con, but it's the main reason I use camellia oil. Camellia oil, I use it because it gets gooey after like a week or two. And that might be possibly a con for you. It is a pro for me. I have over 100 razors and I don't see this razor again for a couple months. So I want as protected as possible, and that oil, I know that is protected. The problem with that is that to take it off, you have to run it under hot water for a little bit and then work it with a towel or a tissue. You can dry your razors with a tissue. That is completely fine, especially in between the scales. In between the scales, if it gets wet, you can slide a tissue in between and dry it. But that's where shaving comes into play. I rarely get any water in there or so. So I used to, but now I don't. So I don't have to worry much about that portion. So once the blade is dried, once it's oiled, it goes into storage. I do not store them in my bathroom. I do have my wife bought me a curio cabinet. So it's a glass cabinet, glass doors, and it has shelves in there. And I put my blades all in there. And they go into things like such. And then I display them. So all of my razors are in these. You can get these for like $2 shipped. eBay and Amazon. These are not for razors. If you're looking for things and you're putting razors there, you're not gonna find much. These are for pens, pen holders. Just Google it, Amazon, eBay, pen holders. There's a bunch of different styles and it will hold your razors for you if you're putting it for display. If you do that, make sure that they're not on the reach of kids. I have another design here. This one is a little bit different. I put it upside down as such. And then I put all 5 there. Let's see, put another one so you guys can check it out. I put it backward, upside down, boom. And then you can display them as such, all right? Another good thing that you can do to store them is put them back inside their box. If you bought a new razor and came with the little cardboard box, put it back inside the box. You can do that. You can put it inside a leather pouch. If you put it inside a leather pouch, please make sure that it has no moisture. Leather will trap that moisture and it will make it corrode faster. A lot of that happens with like hunting knives and stuff like that. That's how I learned. You don't want to keep it in the leather, especially after a trip. So the same with this. You don't want to shave and right away put it in the leather. You want to make sure this air dry and it's nice and oiled. So I have a pouch I made myself. I'll probably make a video on how to make these. Super easy. I sold several different leather ones, and in these you can just put your razor in there and then you can just roll it. Boom. And then I have a leather strap for it. You can use that. A lot of the ones that you can find out there, they run around from 30 to like $200. I've seen some custom ones that are freaking awesome. Those you had to buy specific for razors. Another good idea, and I had that, stole that idea from somebody, or I saw somebody using it. It was these. I have no idea what brand this is, but these are knife holders. And inside, they look as such. And they're meant for knives. But these elastics, they will hold your razors just fine. And it will hold like 30 of them, right? They're different different sizes and different shapes. You can Google it and just put knife holders. And these are great for traveling, but do not store it in a very hot area. Do not put them in the garage or something like that, because those straps could, and that happened to me once, it could warp your scales. If heat gets to it and the constant pressure, or if you put something heavy on it, it could warp your scales. You don't want that. Another tip, wherever you're storing, what I do, when I store my razors in the cabinet, I put some silica gel on it. These come in everything that you buy from everywhere. Shoes, all kinds. My wife already knows, we buy anything and it has one of these, she saves them for me, and then I throw them in there. And you want to replace them. These collect moisture and they're not forever. That once it collects a certain amount of moisture, you have to toss them, and you never know. It doesn't have a meter. So once in a while, if my wife brings me a new one, I toss an old one and throw the new one in there. That is for razors. I strop them after I oil them, and then I store them, right? I use a towel. Please be very careful. Please be very careful when you're using the towel. I have run my thumb on this blade. Not in this exact one, but I have run my thumb on it. If you're using a tissue, there's less protection for your hand and more likelihood for you to get cut. I use a tissue many times. Now, how do I do the oil? The oil I do it with my fingers. I used to use cotton balls and Q-tips, but now I use it with my fingers. I literally, this goes a long way. I put it upside down, bring it up, and whatever is left on the lid, I touch it with one finger, and then I run it in the blade. If you're doing that, please be very careful. As you know, these are very, very sharp. I start at the spine and I go upward as such until the entire blade is completely covered. All right. So, hey, please let me know how you do it. Put it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. But tell me how you do it, because whoever watches this video goes through the comments and they might get some ideas from you on how they clean, store, and take care of their blades. Now, safety razors. Safety razors are a little bit different. A lot of these are coated and they will not corrode as easy. Now, if you have an old gem or whatever, a very old 100-year-old razor, I would not put it in your shower room, in your bathroom. Mine, this one, stays on the stand. When I store it, after I shave, if I shave with a safety razor, I dry it really, really well, and then I store it there, right? And then my brush goes in this side. These are very inexpensive. Check out on eBay, they sell them dirt cheap. Now, quick advice, the blades. A lot of the blades I use are super uranium, extra stainless, all these fancy names, but most of them are stainless. If you have a carbon one, do not leave it in the shower room. Do not leave it in the bathroom. It will corrode. Do not leave it on the razor. The similar metals, it will corrode very, very fast. Plus, you don't want to, even if you don't see the corrosion, if it takes you 3 days to use that blade again, it might have micro corrosion on the blade itself, and it might actually not be a pleasant shave, right? Back 75 years ago, they used to have strops for these. You literally strop them from the blade itself, and it will clean it from things like that and maintain it sharp. Nowadays, we don't use those things. But that's what I do with safety razors. I usually have 2 safety razors here in this shelf, one for my wife, one for me. Once I finish, that's what I do. I do not oil these. I do make sure that I clean them, and once in a while I put them in vinegar, water with vinegar, and to get all the hard water residue off of it. And then if I'm changing razors, before I store it away in my cabinet, I make sure that it's nice and dry. Then I oil it very lightly, and then I put it back inside the box if I have one. If not, they get displayed in other similar to these stands that I have. And that's how I store my razors. So guys, make sure, please do not leave your razors in the shower. Right now, I have one razor that came from a friend that I'm gonna home for him, and it's a double Bismarck. Beautiful. If you know, that razor has gold wash all over it, and it has some corrosion happening on the gold wash. So if I take the corrosion away, it's gonna take the gold wash away, and we don't want to do that. So don't leave it inside your shower. Make sure you take great care of your razor, and it will last you a lifetime. You can leave it to, for prosperity. So that's how I dry them, clean them, and store all my razors. If you have any questions, please PM me, comment below. I try my best to answer all your comments. Make sure you subscribe and hit me up. More how-to videos are coming soon. And hey, shave on.